As I said, I'm Shalom, or I'm Ashley Wokolo. Go ahead, Shalom.
And I'm Shalom. I'm the husband.
And we're Egents Virtual Reality Photography. Um, so our business began with the problem of how do businesses market their products better. So a lot of times you see pictures and you see videos, and that works. It's great, but they're not quite as immersive as it can be. So to solve that problem, we have virtual reality photography, which is an immersive experience. So you have that experience of shopping without actually being there. So here's a quick example of one of our tours that we have done. This is your typical normal thing. You have pictures, you might have a video with it, you have your layout. But here, this is what we have done, where you can actually walk in to the RV that you are looking at buying, and you can go check out all of the areas. You can spin around up and down and look all around and go seamlessly through walls. So that is what we do. Let me switch. And then here's another example. This is a retail space that we did recently. So they wanted to make it so you could go through the store, not just physically walk through it, well, virtually walk through it, but also to do shopping. So we were able to put in a link so that it can do some shopping on here. You can actually go to their website, within their website, and do your shopping while you're in the tour. So that is our more recent one. All right, Shalom.
Yeah, so like Ashley said, we're just really trying to help people or businesses to present their businesses better, in a more immersive way. And so what essentially we do is that we help them to market better through virtual reality service. And by that, we mean we essentially transform their property or inventory into an immersive experience, just like we just showed.
All right, so how do we do it? We have equipment that is for 720 degrees of panoramic images that then get stitched together to create the circle effect. And then we use software to link that spot to another panorama, so it seems like you're going from one spot to another. And then we produce those live tours, and we produce a code for it, and then with that code, we give it to the people that have hired us, and then they're able to embed it on the website. We do help with the technical support of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And generally, our business model is two ways. One is we charge for the production of the tours, and then second is we charge to maintain the tours, because on our end, it costs us money to get the software and actually host it online as well in the cloud. So that's generally our business model. Yep.
Yep. All right, so our strategy thus far has been just cold calling, emailing, stopping by businesses and showing them what we've done and what we can do. We've asked for some referrals. We've attempted partnerships with website dev companies. That hasn't quite gotten where we'd like that to be. Also with marketing groups, hoping that we can help them, because they often do websites, and we can help make that experience better. And then we're also working on this community programming. We did a fire station and a historical park in our town here to help explore the city, and we have some more ideas for that as well. We haven't done much with advertising yet. So these are just a few examples of our competition. There's a few spots in Iowa that do it, but not in our corner of Iowa. And then there's some spots outside, but again, it's more like Midwest region. It's not super close to us. And I'm Ashley. I do the marketing research and graphic design. I have 20 plus years of graphic design and photography experience.
And I'm Shalom, again, the husband. I do business development operations, generally everything else that Ashley doesn't do. And I have experience, across real estate, ag, health, e-commerce. I have most of those experience abroad because I'm originally from Nigeria. And when I came here to Iowa for college back in the day, long time ago, I and my roommate helped co-found a mobile health startup that was acquired by the government of Ghana in 2014. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's definitely the business brains behind it. I'm a little bit more of the creative brains.
And yeah, just like you said, for our business model really is we charge upfront for production and then we charge a fee for maintenance. And this has been, our projection so far. We actually started in August this year. And we're on track to hitting our goal for 6 months for revenue. And we're hoping that we can get some additional ideas here and feedback to sort of help us clear some roadblocks that we have encountered.
All right, so our challenges or our problems at this moment. What is the best way to get clients? How can we create greater awareness of the benefits of VR technology? Like we said, there's not much in our area, which is great for not having much competition. However, it also means that people aren't aware of what we do, what is available to them. So helping people to understand what it is and why it's valuable. I think usually when they see it, then they understand it a lot better. So that's where we've had more success when we do stopping by businesses and showing them examples of what we do. So the awareness, and then what customer segment should we focus on and what's the best way to reach them? Those are our challenges. And feedback.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley and Shalom, for presenting. We'll now open it up for questions. If you have a question, you can either type your question in chat or use the raise your hand feature, and I'll call on you. For Ashley and Shalom, we'll let the people who have the questions ask their question out loud so that those on Facebook Live can hear it and they can explain any parts of their question if they'd like to. One question I had to kick us off, and actually I see Gary has his hand raised too, so I'll let him come in right after that. You made the comment about using VR technology and people don't understand it. Just curious on what people's reactions have been to the requirements of VR technology. And my clarification on that is when I hear it, I'm imagining something where the end user will need to have a VR headset. And in the examples you showed, clearly it's an immersive technology. It's 360-degree photos or 720. And it doesn't require that. So just curious on what those reactions have been and how you've combated that.
Interestingly, we really haven't had a lot of people that are equating it with the virtual reality, like gaming type of experience. I don't know if just a lot of our customers haven't even gotten into that. So I understand where you're coming from with that. But usually when they see it, we're showing an example like we showed on the screen here, either on our phone or whatever we have with us. So they see it, they understand it then, and they're usually pretty impressed by the idea of it. The next step then is them being impressed enough to want to put money behind it. So that's, that's part of it. I'm not sure if I quite answered your question though.
No, I mean, that answered it. And Ashley, I'll have you pull your slides down while we go into Q&A so people can see each other a little bit better. Gary Schott had the next question.
Okay.
Yes. When you're talking about your customers in the area, you didn't mention real estate, but in your projections, you did have real estate. And a couple of years ago, I did sell my house, and I was very conscious about having good photography and to show the house. And my realtor then did work with somebody here locally that did that tour through, which I thought was great. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can't validate, but we did get the house sold. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious, I didn't see it called out initially. It's in your projections. And you said there's not much in the area. To me, particularly in these times, that'd be a ripe area. So tell me a little bit more what you've done or your experience there on the real estate side.
Yep. So we have actually done some demos for real estate agents. The one that we did here in town, they didn't quite, they didn't have the the technology to put it on their website. They worked with a marketing agency, one whom we have contacted to try to work with, and there just wasn't a willingness to put it on there. They just didn't want. That was one part of it, and then the second part was they presented the question: who pays for it? The realtor or the person selling the house, the individual selling the house. So that's one of the challenges there. That particular agency just didn't seem to jump on it. We haven't followed up recently with them to see if they've changed their mind, but that was the experience in town. And then the other experience we had, we did a demo for another real estate agent in an area that's near us that they sell $1 million homes. So it's a little bit, bigger of a market than we have here. And her experience was to call it a video. So she didn't understand the technology still. So, and hasn't called us back to do more. So that's been our experience so far with real estate.
To that point, and I was, wondering if that might be the case here. Everybody's on a tight budget, and I have my own views of some real estate agents just from experience. Perhaps there's a way to back them into it. I would say any seller is going to say, hey, I want this to sell my house. Mm-hmm. And so you talked about the millionaire houses. If there was a way to get the word out through that network, hey, you selling your house? Ask your realtor about virtual tours. And create, the groundswell back up for that realtor to come to you. Hey, my client wants this. And I would think if I'm selling a big home, there's enough of a margin there, and my customer is asking for that, I might be a little bit more responsive to them than they are to you. So if you haven't tried that, I would look at some sort of network to get the word out to the homeowner. Hey, here's a tool. Ask your realtor about it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea.
It looks like David is next with the question.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same route that Gary had with realtors and stuff, and I think there's a lot of work that can be done there to back into that. If you had your own platform and ability to just do general marketing out there and get people that are potentially selling homes, I think that's a great opportunity. I also wonder about have you reached out much to chambers and local municipalities, stuff like that? People that are trying to attract people to their area, because what you do, those pictures are really amazing. You can really see that. So I was thinking of what you're doing there, and then if you've considered taking that a step further with like mapping type companies.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback. We haven't really done that, so that's definitely something that we have penned down, and we definitely put some more thought into it. So far, I think most of our considerations has essentially been by vertical. So dealerships, for example, we're looking at RVs, we're looking at auto, we're looking at private jets. And that one, we actually started with auto, and we didn't have much success with that. And we went on to RVs, and that seemed to kick off fine, nicely. So we're like, okay, well, there's something here. And then the others were, retail, healthcare. But yeah, this is definitely a good idea. We'll definitely think more about it. Thank you for that.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then Yvonne has her hand raised.
Well, good morning. I had a couple of thoughts. One is when you're, with this type of a thing, you're looking for customers that have an educational piece, or who are trying to simulate, someone walking through, like your example of the retail store, right? Walking through it. So that would seem to be, there seems like there would be a ripe moment right now for that, as retailers are struggling with how do I keep my business alive? But at the same time, the dollars, may not be there to support that. I, totally get that. But maybe looking for someone who has reserves, but also is looking for that, educational piece. And then the other thought I had was about education. I teach at the university, but been talking to folks who are struggling in terms of keeping kids involved in their educational experience online. And it sure seems like a partnership with someone who can do curriculum development for kids and making something that has a virtual reality way of, for example, taking a young kid through a factory and showing them how a factory works or something like that might be something. And there are, there's grant dollars and there's technology budgets, in the educational realm that might, be a way to tap into that for you. Something that, that interactivity is one of the things that we struggle with when we're teaching, is having the kids have something to do rather than just look at a screen. Mm. So I just wanted to throw that out as a possibility. I'd be happy to connect you to the South Central Service Cooperative here in Mankato. They have part of what they do is they work on curriculum development and new ideas for educators, and then kind of spreading that around to a number of different school districts. They support a whole bunch of school districts and help them with ideas like that. I'd be happy to connect you with them so you could just have a conversation and see if there's somebody out there that's already looking for some sort of solution, and maybe you have the answer.
Yeah, cool. That sounds really good.
Awesome. Christy Foss had her hand raised.
Yeah, good morning. So I just got a question and kind of a comment back to what everybody was talking about, doing some networking. In my experience in this business and kind of looking at what you guys are doing, networking obviously would be a wonderful piece. Do you belong to any of networking groups? Personally, I'm a big BNI person. Have you thought of doing BNI? Are you in any other networking groups?
1 million cups is it so far. We did take a glance at BNI. Shalom, do you remember what the status was with that?
Well, so we didn't have any in our region, and actually the person who told us about that, oh, by the way, thanks for that suggestion. We got to hear of that through Sarah.
Sure.
And yep, and we followed up with that. We didn't have any in our region area, and it was just unclear to me how to sign up. Like I was just not clear on that. Like it wasn't clear to me from the website. So I know one of the things we needed to do on our to-do list was to follow up with Sarah about that, so that she can, sort of give us more information about how that works.
Sure. That would definitely be beneficial for you. And if you have any other questions, I can collaborate with Sarah as well. Okay. We are both in separate groups, and you could visit both. And the cool thing is right now, it's kind of a good news, bad news, is that BNI is all Zoom. It's all online, and it's going to stay that way for a while. So regardless of where you are, you can still attend. And this would be an awesome way for you to network with those real estate agents, car dealerships, RV dealers, so on and so forth. So that's my first piece. And then secondly, being that I work for the radio station, we actually have a program running right now, and I'll talk a little bit more about this if I have an opportunity in a little bit. It's called Keep Cato Strong. The long and the short of it is, it's an opportunity for you to call in and do up to a 60-second interview. It runs on our stations in rotation 24/7. It gives you an opportunity to kind of say what it is that you do and who you are and where you're from, so on and so forth. And it is a free service. And so what I'll do is, if you go ahead and put your contact information in there, I can reach out to you. I can answer any BNI questions that you have, as well as we can talk about possibly doing that Keep Cato Strong update interview for you, sort of kind of help get your name out there and recognized, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Lindsay had a suggestion.
Oh, yeah, I kind of jumped in late, but I was thinking about wedding venues. They're really, people are trying to find a place to get married, and maybe they can't visit them right now, or they're not traveling, but they want to see what the space looks like. This might be good technology to show off what's available. And there's a lot of money in weddings, so maybe it's something to consider if you haven't already.
We have approached 2 different wedding venues, and we have one that in the spring we will be doing. But yeah, the one, it was a budgeting issue. They had already done their budget for the year, so they said to contact them again in July. And the other one just didn't get back to us after we sent a quote. So yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
I saw Yvonne shared a suggestion.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, check with your local chamber to see if they have connection opportunities too. That might be another option. Many chambers do networking connection events where you can meet other chamber members. And on a specific suggestion, the pizza farm that's not far from here, wouldn't that be cool to get a tour like this of the pizza farm to help somebody who's never been there to see, okay, here's how you order and here's where you get your pizza and here's where you sit and this is what it looks like. It'd be such a cool thing in the spring when weather's nice to show that off and have people who've never been there see it as a destination. I can get you her contact info. It's a very cool place if you haven't been there.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
If you
guys.
guys don't know, that's in Waseca, Minnesota.
Okay.
Where, sorry if I missed it, where were you guys based out of again?
We're in Northwest Iowa. We're, if you know where Worthington is, we're about a half hour from Worthington.
Are
So
you in Sheldon?
we're in Sheldon, yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Oh, I
Yeah.
saw it on the, I think maybe the RV place was in Sheldon.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, being near Worthington is actually good for one of my suggestions for you. There are a lot of modular construction companies, construction companies in Southwest Minnesota, including in Worthington. There's 2 manufacturers there, one that does homes, one that does buildings for businesses. There's 2 manufacturers in Redwood Falls. There's 2 manufacturers in Montevideo, one that does homes, one that does fish houses. Those could all be very good prospects for you because now you're getting to the person who is trying to sell the product, right? And that sort of helps address your who pays for it, the person trying to sell it or the realtor. Well, they're selling their own products and they might be selling it to distributors, but Schultz, for example, in Redwood Falls would love to be able, I'd imagine, to be able to provide their distributors with videos of the inside of their houses. So that could be a potential target for you guys.
Great suggestions.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ryan. Absolutely. We'll definitely, I don't know what the next steps are usually. Do we get information of people and reach out to you guys, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, so I'm going to drop my email in chat if you want any help just determining who those manufacturers are that you could be reaching out to. I can help share some of that information with you. We'll note, chat goes away. So just for the entire group, if you look in the lower right-hand corner on chat and you see those 3 dots, if you hover over, it says more, and then you can choose save chat, and then go in folder. That will open up a folder that has a text document with all of the chats so far. So if you've been having any private messages with people or you've been sharing contact information, that's a good way to make sure that you don't lose it when we end our meeting at the end of the day today.
Gotcha. Awesome.
I've got your email from the 1 Million Cups website, so I'll shoot you a note with a couple of contacts that I mentioned too.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you have the kind of business that really seems like it could be capitalizing on the need we all have right now for wanting to see places and get outside of our homes. I think there's got to be some things there. It's the financial side of the thing is tough. I have a quick question for you. How much is the monthly fee approximately or on average? The ongoing maintenance of the VR.
Yeah, so generally we are looking anywhere from $10 to $20 per month.
Okay, so it's not a huge amount. That's what I was trying to figure out. Is this something that's so cost prohibitive? But it isn't.
No.
So the production cost up front is your big barrier with folks, probably.
Yeah, well, generally speaking, correct.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so there's ways of thinking about that. I had a web development business for many years and created some of the first websites in the state of Minnesota. So nice. I'll chat with you a little bit offline about some techniques that I used for taking the big expense of, like, back in the day, creating a website was a multiple $1,000 big project, right? 5,000, 10,000. I did $50,000 and $100,000 websites at one point. And how do you sell that kind of, those kind of dollars to businesses and say, hey, here's something that, is worth it for your business to do. And I came up with some pricing things that help them. So I'll send you a note. Maybe we can chat and I'll give you some ideas that might be.
For sure, Yvonne. Awesome.
And interesting that you should say that, Yvonne. We actually had to build a website for one of our clients because they had no web presence at all. So that's really cool to hear that you've done that.
So speaking of those two comments, that brought up something from earlier in the conversation where you mentioned a realtor who didn't have the ability to host your videos or photography on their website. So I came from the staffing world and I dealt with a lot of hiring websites. And what happens most of the time when you go to a careers page on a hiring website is you get redirected to a new landing page that's hosted by the company that does those career pages. So I don't know if that's something that's feasible for you, but a similar model could have something where people could get redirected to a page that maybe the host themselves. But Leah had another.
I was just gonna say, just vacation rentals, VRBO, Airbnb, those folks, they might be another area because again, your consumer is looking for the most visual information, and so if they can actually tour the space that they might be renting, it may be beneficial for that consumer. And so again, the target market might be who owns it and or uses that as their listing.
Absolutely, Leah. Absolutely. Absolutely, we definitely consider that. I think when we started, we were just all over the place, shooting everywhere. So we sent emails to, went on Facebook looking for people who are, renting apartments, renting houses. Some of our friends who were doing Airbnb reached out to them. It was essentially we just didn't get a response from anyone, and then we said, okay, let's take it to the next level. Let's start visiting with stores and shops and VR dealerships and all of that. So would definitely, with the suggestions you guys have given us, I think it would make sense for us to probably go back to those initial thoughts and, the additional thoughts that you guys suggested and see what happens with that.
Awesome. And then Wendell had a comment, and following Wendell's comment, I'll have one of our organizers ask the final 1 million cups question.
Yeah, well, my background is in real estate, appraising and sales, but I've always been fascinated with the drone and the video photography and the possibilities there. But this kind of takes it to the next step where you can actually do your shopping visually and link that to your order. So I think that's where the future is, being able to, especially in the times that we have right now, where you can go on a site and then pick out an item that you want and order it, through that experience. So I think that's really fascinating, and I think that's where the future is. So that's one step above what most people would be able to experience. So I think that's the wave of the future, let's say.
Absolutely. Thanks for that comment.
Thank you, Wendell.